officially about to begin. Welcome everybody to Saturday, August 18th, TV Toastmasters meeting in wonderful Anderson Community Center, and very excited members and guests. I'm Sean Gallagher. I'm graced enough to be the president of this outstanding club, and we expect to have a very fun, engaging, and educational meeting here today. We have a couple guests. This is an open house. We don't usually have this kind of format. We don't have food at every meeting, so don't show up thinking you're going to be fed every time. But an open house is just letting people know we're here, trying to get additional people aware and start joining or become guests and run through our program. We've got food and drink we can enjoy throughout the meeting or toward the end. There'll be socializing at the end of the meeting, and any questions can be answered. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to our Toastmaster of the day, who is Veronica Sanford. Veronica?
Thank you, Sean. Welcome, everyone. I am super excited to have so many guests here and also some longtime friends. I would like to first introduce Gwendolyn, and Gwendolyn Easton's going to be our awe counter and grammarian. She's going to count our ums and ahs and word of the day if she has one. Please welcome Gwendolyn.
Hello, the word of the day is encourage. To inspire with courage, spirit, or hope. An example would be a doctor would encourage patients to exercise and eat well to be healthy. I am going to encourage each of you to use this word when you come up to the podium today, the lectern. And I'm also going to be counting your filler words like ahs and ums. And I'm also going to be looking for some great words, and I will let you know at the end of the meeting. Madam Toastmaster, I will leave this word up here for you to remind you when you come up here. Thank you.
Well, Gwendolyn lights up the room when she comes in. I'm so happy to have her here today. All right, our next person who's going to be speaking is Carol Cormelink, and Carol Cormelink is a 4-time Distinguished Toastmaster. Distinguished Toastmaster is a huge accomplishment, and Carol has accomplished it 4 times. So she is our guru. She is our courageous and encouraging leader. Please welcome Carol Cormelink.
Welcome, everyone, and especially our most welcome guests. Glad to see so many people here. That always creates more energy in the room and gives us more excitement. I have a love-hate affair with Pathways. It's our new education program. I love the content. I'm learning so much that I didn't know. I've been in Toastmasters 22 years, so I thought I knew everything, and I found out I don't. I didn't even read the 10 pathways, and I said, visionary communication, that helps you have people visualize what you're saying. That's not what it is. Visual communication is building a team and helping them see the vision and making the project work. So that's what happens when you don't read. On the icebreaker, now you learned 2 things before in the manual program. Now you learn 6 things. You learn how to get up and speak in public, how to introduce yourself, your goals, how to transition from one thought to the next, and it's really great. So my love affair is the content, and what I hate, and I'm the base camp manager, is keeping track of everyone and trying to get into base camp. So I will learn that because I will learn how to navigate the base camp. But it's a great program. If you haven't been to it, you will learn so much. One lady was going to drop out of Talk Toastmasters. She said, because I'm at the top of my game, I'm a coach, and nobody can help me become better. And when she came to the pathway, she said, I have something out. And she decided she was going to be the Vice President of Education. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
The exciting things about Toastmasters and about Pathways' new program is people who spend thousands of dollars in programs to learn coaching or mentoring, which absolutely have value. But the nice thing about Toastmasters is it gives you an opportunity to learn and get certified in those areas, but at a much more frugal, perhaps reasonable cost, and decide if you really, really want to go pursue that and continue to pursue that. So it's really exciting. That said, I'm now going to welcome Carol Cormelink back up. She's going to be giving us our table topics section. Please welcome Carol.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. The purpose of table topics is to put you on the spot, but not in an uncomfortable way or not in an embarrassing way. It's a way to help you when your boss asks you a question, not of your choosing, you don't have brain freeze because you weren't expecting that. What this does is to help you overcome that brain freeze by coming up. I will give you a question, not of your choosing, and today we're going to do something different. I have a book, and you have to do a book report, and haven't done it yet. So I will give you this book. No one knows what's in the book besides you. And you can read the front, the back, whatever you want to do, and make up whatever you want to make up. So my first question today I will give to Gwendolyn, and you will talk about give and be rich. So let us welcome Gwendolyn Neeson. Give and be rich.
Thanks. All right. The book that I'm going to give a book report on is Give and Be Rich. The premise of this book is the more you give, the more you get in return. So if you want to have a life of abundance, go out and give encouragement to your friends and family and strangers on the street. And if you want to be wealthy, give to those in need, and you will see it come back to you tenfold. I would recommend reading this book so that you can have an abundant life and you will be encouraged. Thank you. Table topics.
My next book I will give is Always Like the First Time, Rick Barron.
Thank you, Carol.
Catherine wrote an absolutely outstanding book about always like the first time. And I know exactly where you're headed. You know, you've seen that beer commercial, you never forget your first girl, right? Have you seen that St. Pauli commercial? That's not what this book is about. Absolutely not. If you think back in life, there are a number of events in your life, some of which you don't remember and have to be communicated by other people. So, for example, the first time you took your step had to be communicated by a parent. The first words you spoke, again, maybe it was a caregiver. But what she did is she went through those firsts, through most people's lives, and talked about how those firsts, those milestones, are things that really define us. Those firsts characterize who we are and who we spend our time with. Because ultimately, life is about a set of experiences, not just how old we are, where we were born, what we do for a living, but who we share life's experiences with, who we share life's firsts. I highly recommend that you take some time to read Catherine's book because it will remind you of all of the firsts in your life and the joys that you can then celebrate with others. Thank you, Carol.
And one of my first, Rick took me zip lining, and he said, "Do you want to go zip lining over the Little Miami?" I'm going, "No, thank you." I would have fun if I hadn't been so scared. Okay, my next book is When to Speak Up and When to Shut Up, Mike Phelps.
The book When to Speak Up and When to Shut Up is a book I should have read years and years and years ago. Probably when I was in my 20s, I liked to voice my opinion about things that I thought was important, either politically or socially or or religiously. And in my 20s, I was just then learning the things that I thought I knew everything about. I went into my career in teaching and was eventually an educational guidance counselor at a high school. And as I did that, I came across more people who seemed to voice their own opinions and would talk to me about how they felt, not only about the topics I mentioned to you, but also how their kids should be treated and how I should teach them. Opinions on the educational system. And as I went through my career, I realized, yes, I had an educational background and was a little bit of an expert, but I learned year after year, in and out, that the people that I would talk to that had different opinions had important things to say that changed my opinions about the world, education, and how things should be done. So it's important to speak up when you think things are very important to you, but it's also pretty important to quiet down and listen to what other people say that will help you develop your personal ideas and help other people at the same time. Thank you.
I would like to thank Michael for being here because I just met him Thursday. He was at the Ollie Marketing Committee, and I said, he lived in Amelia, was it, or where was it?
Yes.
And I said, oh, we have a Toastmaster meeting there, and I invited him. So don't be afraid to ask a stranger to come, because here's Mike, and thank you so much for that great answer, Mike.
I think you already know Carol's pretty persuasive. And she cornered me after the meeting, but was very polite. Very
Is your
nice.
arm healed yet?
I was glad to get to know her.
And my last book is Little Glimpses of Good, Finding Hope in Every Today. Mike Morris, would you tell us about this book?
Pass, please.
I thought you said you were game for this. Okay. Okay. So, what was Marie, was it?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, Marie, thank you, Marie.
My
And we
pleasure.
shake hands to return control to the doctor.
Good morning. I have a wonderful book to share with you today. It's Little Glimpses of Good. It might be a small volume, but there is a wealth of encouraging information in here. And you know how we can be overwhelmed and stressed. The best part is that it's a fun book. It pops out, so it's delightful. It's also fun not only to explore this book by yourself, but to share it with a younger person that you would like to encourage as their mentor. So this book, for instance, covers questions and answers. For example, does morning light wake up the birds, or does singing wake up the sun? It's good for all of us to remember as young children all the questions and wonderings we had. So even though it's, again, a little book, it has profound ideas for reflection. So in this busy, fast-paced world, I encourage you to take a few moments to encourage yourself and another by exploring this delightful little book titled Little Glimpses of Good, Finding Hope in Every Today. And it's written by Jim Howard and illustrated by Daniel Miyares.
Great. And I'd like to thank all the Table Topics participants, and I will return control of the lectern to our Toastmaster, Veronica Sanford.
Thank you so much. That was great fun, and it's always okay to pass, especially if it's a book you haven't read, right? So that said, I would now like to introduce the evaluator for our next speaker. Angel is going to be giving the evaluation for Suzanne Whitrock, and she's going to be introducing Suzanne as well. Please welcome Angel.
Good morning. Today, Suzanne will be giving a speech entitled Mushroom Soup. I'm very interested in hearing all about mushroom soup. Her speech today is from the Competent Communicator Manual, and it is the Your Body Speaks assignment, where the speaker is to use stance, body movement, gestures, facial expressions, and eye contact that illustrate and enhance her verbal message. Movement, gestures, facial expressions, and eye contact should be smooth and natural. Body language should enhance and clarify the speaker's words and help the audience visualize the speaker's point and overall message. The message you should see should be the same one you hear. The speech must have a clear purpose and appropriate organization. Also, the speaker must use words and arrangements of words that effectively communicate her message. In addition, please welcome Suzanne Whitrock.
Hello, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I'm very encouraged now to speak after such a great introduction by an angel. How can you not be encouraged, right? So this talk is called Mushroom Soup. I'm supposed to use a lot of body language, which normally I'm standing right here and I'm doing my thing. So today I am stepping out of the comfort zone. I'm going to give you actually a journey today, two. One is going to be in the present, and the other one is about 40 years back in the past. So, not to give away my age, but it happens. So. All right, are we ready to go? It's the present. I am thinking about what am I going to make for dinner, all right? Ooh, I love mushrooms, so I am going off to the store, driving in my car, and I'm going to make some mushroom soup. Man, red light again. Come on, let's go. I have to go. Alexander's waiting at home. I'm getting hungry.
I'm hungry.
I hear his voice, even though he's not in the car with me. I know he's waiting for me. So here I'm at the store. Oh my gosh, look at all these great packages of mushrooms right there. Oh, they're all pretty much the same. It's all these white buttons. Well, I'm going to just buy some, go home, make my mushroom soup, and there it is. Isn't this great, my child?
Pretty good.
How often have I told you how much I love mushrooms? So here we are, ready? We're stepping into the time machine. We're going 40 years back, and I'm gonna kick off my shoes because back then I was wearing different types of shoes. All right, 40 years ago, let's see. Oh, it just rained. Oh, it smells so great outside. Mom, let's go. I can hear those mushrooms growing in the woods. Off we go, up the hill. Oh my gosh, there it is, this forest. Close your eyes. Just think about it. It smells so great. The raindrops are still coming off the leaves. And I got my basket. Oh yeah, I didn't forget to tie on the ribbon on the knife. And then tie that knife onto the basket. Well, here we go. Up, it's a little slippery. Oh, there I fall. Good thing I had the knife tied on the basket because it would slide way down, and then how would I get my mushrooms? Did you ever know you need a knife to catch mushrooms? Well, that's the way we did it back then. So, what is this shining thing right there? Could that be one of those? By the way, Schwammerl is the word in German for mushroom. Could that be one of those Schwammerls? Oh, let's go all the way back down the other tree. Mom, you see that there? What do you think? Yeah, I'll go down there. I'll look. Wait a minute, it's just a yellow leaf. That's right. Fall is coming soon. It's not one of those Eierschwammerls, but wait a minute, what's over here? Oh, I'm moving the leaves, and there it is, this whole thing filled with mushrooms. Those yellow, awesome looking fire schwammels. And I'm using my knife, and I have to cut them off. You don't rip them out of the forest because you want to be sure that you have some next year again. That's why you need that knife. And I keep looking over there. I don't see a light, but that's all right. I just keep going because there are so many mushrooms in this forest. And then my favorite one, the brandling, which is a nice big brown one, and I'm taking it home. And guess what? I'm just putting it on the stove. Head down. Put some salt on it. Wait for a minute. Oh my gosh, there it bubbles, all this little salt crust on top of the mushroom and the juice coming out and the smell of it. Ah, this is so great. I'm just gonna take it and eat it right off. Don't need to make a soup, you just eat it right off the stove. Thank you.
Who is not hungry now? Wow. Well, certainly looks like you didn't run into any poisonous mushrooms, and otherwise you wouldn't be here, right? So you're certainly more brave than I. Our next speaker is Janet Castellan, and Janet will be evaluated by Rick Barron, and Rick Barron is going to be doing the introduction for Janet Castellan's speech. Please welcome Rick Barron.
Thank you. Our next speaker has been a member of Toastmasters for has been a member of this club for a little over a year, and been a member of Toastmasters for around 18 years. It's a long story, but she's a member of 5 Toastmasters clubs at this time. Recently published a book and is a principal violinist in the Cincinnati Civic Orchestra, an all-volunteer orchestra. Her most recent hobby is taking up banjo lessons. Please give a hearty welcome to Janet Castellan and practice. Practice, Janet Castellan.
That's good. I am one of probably the best example of someone that needs to practice. I decided I was going to write a speech on practice to look at the ins and outs of practicing and to encourage myself to do so. First, you need tools. I have a handout. The first word is prepare for practice. You need tools, which are your building blocks of your practice section. You need your banjo, you need your music stand, your metronome, your glass of water in case you get thirsty while you're practicing. And if you're writing a speech, you need to come up with an idea, have some research, write out an outline. The next word is rehearse. My orchestra teacher said that rehearse means to rehear. So when we come to our orchestra rehearsals, we hear what the other instruments are doing in the orchestra, and it helps us know how we're supposed to play. And when you rehearse your speech, one person suggested that you stand up and give your speech, perhaps in front of a mirror, out loud. And this is also, you can also mentally prepare for your speech. You can go through your mind how you're going to do something. An example of that is
a pole vaulter who, before he runs and vaults over the hurdle, he thinks in his mind exactly what steps he's going to take and how he's going to get over that hurdle. So memory rehearsal also helps. A stands for ability. We need to actualize our ability within ourselves. We have to know that we have the ability to learn something and to do the best we can. C stands for commitment. We need resolve. I'm going to do this. When I sign up for a Toastmasters speech, that's my way of committing that I'm going to give a speech. And if you don't have commitment, it crumbles. T is time. Managing our time is important because we have so many things to do in our lives, and we have to set aside, create blocks of time to practice. We have to clear our head of other matters. And also, when you're rehearsing your speech, you need to set a timer. And usually, with a 5 to 7 minute speech, the green light goes on at 5 minutes, the yellow light at 6 minutes, and the red light at 7 minutes. So we know how we're doing in our speech. I stands for invent. A craftsman masters a skill, but an artist invents beyond to innovate. Think of different ways of doing things. Like, if I'm going to be a banjo player, maybe I need a hat, looking like a banjo player. Or if you're going to be given a speech at the International World Contest, Bart, he puts on his eyeglasses. That's part of his props. And he has all kind of facial expressions. He's very creative. C stands for courage. You have to be resilient and know your self-worth and be willing to come up here and make mistakes. Maybe I needed to tune my instrument before I started. I'm not sure what happened. Okay. But sometimes you learn what not to do when you make mistakes, and that makes you better able to learn. One time at a banjo lesson, I was playing along and did something, and my banjo teacher said, "You did that quite well, by accident." So I wasn't sure if that was a compliment or not. And then E stands for enjoy. You need to enjoy practicing, and you don't want to practice too long or too hard that your muscles wear out, or you don't want to strain your voice if you're practicing for a speech, but practice just enough that it is still fun to practice and feel the enjoyment of performing in front of an audience. I know when I played my viola in the Cincinnati Civic Orchestra, myself and all the other members, we seem to play our best because we're on our toes playing for the audience. So I hope that I'm encouraging you to practice.
Wow, what courage. I try to encourage speakers of all types, and that takes a lot of courage. Not only to pick up an instrument. Have you played for a long time, banjo?
No, a little over a year.
Okay, so she's been learning for a year. We would now like 1 minute of silence for the evaluator to write their evaluation. And my apologies, Angel, I had neglected to do that earlier. So, timer, could you please, Dave, could you please give us a minute? Thank you so much. Thank you. 1 minute's up, and now you won't watch me dance anymore. I just got a Fitbit, and so I try to fool my Fitbit by moving as often as possible. I am going to be the evaluator for Rick Barron, who is an accomplished speaker. There's a difference between being an evaluator for somebody who's very new and learning. You're gentle and encouraging, and pick on things that are, pick is not the right word, but evaluate on some more simpler accomplishments within the speech. But for Rick, I can be as brutal as I want because he's got a very thick skin and we're actually friends. Now, to the introduction to Rick's speech. I will say that I have lost my agenda. What is the title of your speech, please?
Don't remember.
I think it has to do with Internet Guru. Secrets of an Internet Guru. Please forgive me. Are you seeking to increase visibility online for a company, nonprofit, or club? Rick has been squirreling away tips, tidbits, and techniques since building his first website in 1999. That's almost 20 years ago. The secrets from this internet guru will make you look like a marketing rock star. Here's Rick Barron, Distinguished Toastmaster with Secrets of an Internet Guru. Please welcome Rick Barron.
Thank you, Veronica. I'll bet you don't even give it a second thought. You have a problem, question, issue, and concern, and you sit down at your desktop or laptop computer, or you pick up the device of your choice. You open most likely Google Chrome, and you type in the search term that you're looking for. You hit enter, and a bunch of results pop up, maybe taking you out to pizza, or helping you research a project for school, or maybe even helping you buy that unique Mother's Day gift. I'm sure most of you never even thought, how does Google decide what it's going to show me? Especially when there are so many different options. I took a look at internetlivestats.com, and they say there are over 1,900,000,000 websites live on the internet. Google has announced that they have indexed 130 trillion pages of content. That is up 100 trillion in 5 years. There's an entire industry that surfaced as soon as the internet was created, and that is called search engine optimization. Those SEO specialists have dug in to determine some tips and techniques to help you get visibility for your business, your club, or your nonprofit organization. And I'm here to share some of those with you. But first, let's do a little leveling, ground leveling. In those results on your desktop, what do you see? At the top, you probably see paid ads. Then you may either see the organic search results or the Google My Business listing. Sometimes the Google My Business listing comes first. When you do that search on your mobile device, you see the Google My Business listing at the top. But let's focus initially on the paid ads. When was the last time you clicked on a paid ad? Pretty rare. Depending on who you talk to, anywhere from less than 1% to over 30% will click on an ad. For me, that depends on what I'm doing. If it's a week before Mother's Day and I got plenty of time, I'm going down to the organic search results. 3 days before Mother's Day and I still forgot to buy a Mother's Day gift, my mom lives in Southern California, so I'm clicking on ads. Who's got overnight shipping to get stuff to Southern California? All you got to do is pay to play. He who writes the biggest check gets the best visibility. That's how the paid platform works. And in many cases, you're competing with big boys that have lots of checks. In the organic search results, that's where those SEO specialists play. Google ranks content. We talk about keyword phrases. Those search terms that you entered into Google are affectionately known as keywords. Those keyword phrases direct you to a set of search results. But Google does not rank keywords. Google indexes themes and directs you to those themes based on the keywords that you enter. When you were taught how to write, how were you taught how to write? Who, what, where, when, how, why, right? That's the same thing Google wants to know. Google wants to know, does this theme cover all of those topics? In other words, is there enough content for me to put it in front of somebody as the result of this search? Content is king. Web pages that show up on the first page of the Google search results typically have close to 2,000 words on them. 2,000 words. The suggestion is that you can create internal pages. Have you ever Googled something, the organic search results came up, you clicked on the response, and it took you to somebody's homepage? And you said, if I wanted to search your homepage, I would have just went to your website and searched your homepage. So what do? You back arrow out and you go find one that takes you directly to the content that you want. The thing that guides your choice are those little blue tags called title tags, and the description that shows up right below it called the meta description. These are the title tags and the meta descriptions for the Toastmasters.org website. What's Toastmasters known for? Leadership development, public speaking skills. What does their site say? Toastmasters International-Home. If I didn't know what Toastmasters was, do you think I would click on that? Unlikely. Benefit-related title tags stand out and get clicked on. In addition, that meta description starts with if so. In other words, Toastmasters International didn't provide a description, so Google had to make one up. Make sure that your content is on pages that are properly titled and adequately described with benefits to those who are visiting. Final thought, to encourage you to place your website in the top results. Local is the Google My Business listing. You usually see it over on the right-hand side, or it shows up in that 3-pack. The absolute most important thing that you can do is to optimize that listing and to show interaction, because that's what you want as someone visiting the website. In summary, the easiest way to get visibility is to provide content that you would want to read on a topic, and use the few tips to make sure that it's properly labeled and adequately described. Veronica?
So, really quickly, Randy, if somebody was interested in actually using your services, how would they contact you?
You can go to our website, interceptclients.com.
Intercept.
Interceptclients.com.
Can you spell that for us, please?
INTERCEPT clients, CLIENTS.com.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Veronica.
Dave, can you please give us 1 minute of silence for the evaluator to evaluate Rick? 1 minute never seems to go so slowly as when you're standing in front of a camera. So we are going now into another section of the meeting. And our general evaluator will be running this section of the meeting. His name is Sean Gallagher, and he is our president also. Please welcome Sean Gallagher.
For those of you who don't know, and to remind current members of what this is, general evaluation, this is the area of our Toastmaster meeting, which really happens in most clubs, that we can provide feedback. If I'm up here speaking, I want to know what my strengths are already built on, but I certainly want to know what I didn't do well so I can improve. We use what's called the sandwich method, and there's encouragement in there. You may provide a strength that a speaker had right in the very beginning of your evaluation. Then you'll point out some points that you say might have to do with pauses, might have to do with pace, might have to do with volume of your voice. You'll give them some encouraging tips to improve their speaking, and at the end, likely wrap up with another encouraging strength you think you found. We've got the first speaker was Suzanne Wittrock, and to come up and evaluate Suzanne is Angel Lorman. Angel?
Susan, thank you for your speech, Mushroom Soup. I enjoyed the title. The speech was great. Your topic, I think, was perfectly chosen in order to give you optimal chances to use body language. So the way that you told the story and you leaned in, you were driving and you put on your jacket, you flipped off your shoes. I think the way that you used your body language to illustrate those actions helped strengthen your speech, your story. I could tell you prepared, you were well prepared, and I really enjoyed the interjections from Alexander and how that had to have been rehearsed well. I think it brought some humor. Well, I didn't know that until you told me. It was great. Again, the driving, the putting on your jacket, the taking off your shoes, illustrative body language. You also had very colorful vocabulary, and one of the best ones, I think, was hearing the mushrooms grow. I could just sit there as a kid and remember waiting on something that Grandma said was going to happen. You know, maybe dinner will be done. You just give me a few minutes, and just waiting and waiting and waiting, and you know, I could hear it, just hearing the mushrooms grow. Just same concept. Also, I liked how you used, I don't know if I can call this a stage, or just behind the lectern area. You were driving forward to get Alexander, to pick him up, and you were driving forward to get to the ingredients for your soup. And then you were reflecting upon your past, and you moved over here, so it was like you moved with the timeline of your story. Very good, very good technique. Logical organization. Didn't see a lot of eye contact, but I think it was because when you were up here, you were in the story, you were in the thought, you were self-reflecting on the thoughts that you were having at the moment. So I think it worked well for you here. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you for the encouraging reminder that I'm supposed to be up there. That's another thing about Toastmasters. We try not to leave the front of the room, the lectern, where we're managing the meeting from, empty. It's like the captain at the helm. It doesn't have to be the captain, but someone has to be up here. I did a faux pas on that one. Next speaker that we saw was Janet Hasselin. And we'd like to bring up Janet's evaluator, which will be Rick Barron. Rick?
Wow. How brave do you have to be to come up and play the banjo in front of a group of friends? That's a tough one. Janet, your goal was to get comfortable with visual aids, to come up here and to show 2 or more visual aids and to incorporate them into your speech. The banjo was obviously a great visual aid, but you stumbled a little bit at the beginning trying to get it to play. So, should it have been tuned? Was there a little more practice that was necessary to make that happen? I'm not sure, but very appropriate. I loved the hat too. Once the hat came out, you looked like a banjo player, and that image was yes. this was probably the biggest value of the speech. And you notice I didn't write any notes because I was writing all my notes on your evaluation. But this gave everybody the opportunity to not only follow along with you, but to take their own notes. And at least how I learn best when I get an opportunity to interact and to be able to say, okay, great, let's write that down, let's write that down, let's write that down. So not just listening, but be able to participate by writing stuff down. You made an attempt to play something that we all knew. Again, brave choice to be able to do that. I encourage you to continue to take the banjo lessons and to pursue passions like this that you enjoy, because that's really what life is all about. Life is about the opportunity of new experiences with new people in new places. In terms of the goal for the speech, the ultimate goal of any speech is to get up and to share and to participate. You did all of that. In terms of the visual aids, I think it would have been ideal to have practiced a little bit more, because there were some glances down at the notes quite a few times. When I looked up from writing my notes, I saw you with your head down, and you even commented, I think, one point in time about getting lost. The speech itself was one I'm sure that we'll all remember, because you wouldn't have seen me up here with any instrument that I had tried to play. Thank you, Janet, for coming up and sharing your speech.
I'm going to be consistent and pause and not show up on time for everything. Thank you for laughing. It makes me feel much better. Our third speaker of the day was Rick Barron. And to evaluate Rick, we'll bring up Veronica Sanford. Veronica.
We're having an open house today, and we have space for 5 more members to join our club. And you can see that some of our roles have been repeated. People have given more than one role. And in a perfect Toastmasters Club meeting, everyone would have only one role. Rick. As I had mentioned before, Rick is an accomplished speaker. He's been a member of Toastmasters since 2004? 5?
2007.
7. Okay, 12 years. That's a long time to practice speeches. I will say that, Rick, I love that you asked a question at the very beginning of your speech. It engages the audience. We feel like we're part of it. Our minds are engaged. Questions wake us up. You had great pauses. Exceptional eye contact, unless it was just to me. You gave us statistics, numbers. 1.9 million websites. Something trillion, I can't remember the number, but a lot of numbers. And for those of us who like to, brains are active, who like to chew through the knowledge or through the information, really great. It made us feel that you really knew your stuff. The only one thing that I can recommend, you didn't seem to be having fun. And I love having fun, right? If you can't have fun, why live? That said, I want to work with people who are fun, engaging, who make work light, right? Who make life light. People who are in cancer wards, people who are who have lifelong illnesses or incredible pain, they still often have time to laugh and encourage others. So there you are. There's no question that you have a professional attitude. You are solid in your knowledge. You have deep integrity. all of that. And I know you on a not a personal level, but on a professional personal level. And I think you have fun and you laugh a lot. But I'd like to see more of that in your speech. Sean, I'm done.
Thank you very much for that evaluation. What we're going to now is hear from the other roles within our meeting, and they're going to give us some of their wrap-up and evaluation, and then I'll kind of touch on some of the evaluators in the meeting as a whole at the end. So we're going to bring up our grammarian, Gwendolyn Neeson.
All right, what a fun meeting today. When Carol was up here, she did not use the word encourage, and I didn't hear any filler words. You did a great job. I did like the use of the word love because it kind of put us in a positive frame of mind, so I like that. Mike, when you were up, Mike, am I right? Yes, Mike, sorry. I was like, who is Mike? I'm sorry about that. Mike, you did a great job. Your speech is very clear when you spoke and how you well spaced between your words, not rushed together. You did have 2 ahs that I noticed. Besides that, great job. And Angel, I love the use of the word colorful when you were describing Suzanne's vocabulary. You had 1 ah with your soft-spoken voice. It almost was missing. You did a great job also. Rick, awesome use of the word encourage. 3 times that I caught. 3 times? Is that right? Mm-hmm. Super. And 1 time you did a triple clutch with but. That was the only error I caught. And you have you have an amazing use of pauses when you're up here. So your speech is always great. David is coming after me, so I didn't have anything for you. So, great job. Suzanne, you had used the word encourage 1 time, super. You use so sometimes as kind of a filler word, I think, and I really appreciated you using the word Schreiber, adding for... I'm not even saying it properly. Introducing a German word for us. Thank you for that. Sean used the word encourage 1 time, and I didn't catch any errors in your speech today, so great job. Veronica, I think she is the winner with using our word of the day 3 times today. Thank you for that. You did have a double clutch with but, and I did like the use of scrolling away when you were describing Rick's speech. So thank you. Janet, 1 time using the word encourage, word of the day. 1 and a double clutch of the. And sometimes when you're up here, you kind of say okay to yourself. Another very soft-spoken person. And Marie, 1 use of the word encourage. Thank you for that. And I like the word delightful when you were doing your table topics and describing your book report. That was nice. You have like a nice sing-song voice. And that's all I have today for tabletop, for word of the day and grammarian. Thank you.
We're going to also have the timer report to give us some of the times that we presented in will be David Delahunty. I'd like to just tell you that we're trying to practice to get our speeches, evaluations, table topics in specific times. Because when you're in a formal meeting or you're presenting these things, you have a certain amount of time. We try to get very specific on making those times. So Dave's going to help us out with that report here. Dave?
For the time report for today was table topics, and that's a 1 to 2 minute speech. And Gwendolyn went at 32 seconds, so she fell under by 28 seconds. Rick was 1 minute and 35 seconds. He was on time. Mike was 2 minutes and 6 seconds, so he was within time. Marie was 1 minute and 33 seconds, so she was within time. Speaker 1 was Suzanne. Her speaking time was 5 to 7 minutes, and she came in at 4:19, 41 seconds under. Speaker number 2 was Janet. Her speech was 5 to 7 minutes, and she went 7 minutes and 2 seconds, so that was within time. Speaker number 3 was Rick, 5 to 7 minutes, and he came in at 7:26. So he just came under the wire. And the evaluator number 1 was Angel, and she evaluated Suzanne's speech, and she came in at 2 minutes and 13 seconds, and these are supposed to be 2 to 3 minutes in length. Rick was Janet's evaluator, and he came in at 3 minutes and 2 seconds. And evaluator number 3 was Veronica for Rick. Now, I do have a question on this one. Now, when you started off, you made a sort of an introduction.
That counts.
And then does that count as well?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that because I made a little note up there, 20 seconds.
Good.
But anyway, you came in at 2:33. And the grammarian, the counter was Gwendolyn, and it was 2 minutes and 41 seconds. So I'm assuming that was 2 to 3 minutes also, right? Or are you
Close
timed
enough for
that?
government work.
Sure.
Okay, all right. So that's all I have.
There you go. Thank you for being so specific. That is very helpful. I like how well you're tracking all the numbers there. Because there's a lot to track in a meeting like this. You did very well.
Well, that was the first time that anybody's that made remarks before they jumped right into the evaluation, so I didn't know.
It's hard. You don't, yeah.
So I just made it a note that.
You get to choose and make that decision and tell her because you're the timer for the day. So you can take all that autonomous approach. I'm very fortunate to be the general evaluator, and I'm very fortunate to go now because often when I evaluate, I go well beyond the time I'm supposed to cut myself to, as Carol's laughing. So yes, Dave will time my evaluation, but he's not going to give the report on me going over the time, will you, Dave? For this meeting overall, a lot of Toastmasters clubs have this kind of open meeting to encourage other people to come, meet us, sit down, be a guest, understand what we're about, participate if you wish, open your eyes to Toastmaster. I know some of us have seen Toastmasters before. Other people, it's a completely new concept. So we put a lot of effort in. Every member in some fashion put in effort to get us here. So thank you for all the members' effort to get us to where we are now. The meeting was fun. It was lighthearted for me. It was educational. It's the exact way I want a Toastmaster meeting to be for me personally. We appreciate the guests showing up. We hope that you got something out of it. We're going to encourage you toward the end of this meeting to give us some feedback. Maybe tell us why you're here, what you thought of the meeting, what your next thoughts are. Consider that. As I go through as general evaluator, I also get to give some tips on the evaluators of the speeches. We will start with Angel. Angel evaluator Suzanne, as we know. Angel, I like your poise, first of all. Whether you're speaking or you're evaluating, you have a very calm and connected demeanor. I have trouble with that. I get almost way over top of excitement when I speak. I think I need to learn a little bit from you in the more calm side of speaking and not be way out there. You're very encouraging. You gave some really great feedback to Suzanne. You actually summarized some of the things she did and why that was a good part of her speech. The only thing I'd like to say, I would have enjoyed seeing a little more feedback on it, 1 or 2 more points you can improve on. Every one of us wants that. I don't feel that I saw that. You started on a little bit, but I think a little more feedback, maybe 2 points that, Suzanne, you could certainly have done this differently. Rick, I like the way you started out. You caught the audience's attention, and you certainly gave encouragement by saying, wow, just in the very beginning. That's a great start there. You gave some good call-outs on ways to improve. Certainly practicing her speech a little more. Some of her banjoing skills. But you also talked about her visual as far as using the hat and the banjo. So it really got us all understanding what she's here to do. And the handout. Really nice call out on the handout. Because every one of us had a way to follow what she's doing and take home the points that she wanted to make sure we thought about with practice. And of course, humor is always fun. Humor is a great part to warm up the audience and get us connected. You used humor a couple of times, especially with the attempts and the lessons in working with Banjo. So thank you for that. Veronica, you also used humor. You warmed up the audience. You brought some humor into your evaluation. Good work on reviewing the important facts and putting us on her visuals as well. Or his visuals, I'm sorry. Because some of the things that you shared, Rick, and I agree with that, really gave us an understanding of what you were talking about. If there was just words in your speech, I would have been a little bit lost. But I'm glad you pointed out that those visuals and the things that he gave us on the websites were very helpful. And of course, you recommended some of his improvement too. One of the biggest things is, and I don't know Rick well, I haven't been around more than 2 times, is to have fun. That's one of the biggest things I got out of Toastmasters, and you also pointed that out. So to get someone to lighten up and have fun, I'm really glad that you did that. That's pretty much all I've got as general evaluator in covering what we did with the meeting overall and giving some feedback. I'm going to turn it over to the Toastmaster at this point, Veronica Sanford.
We are at exactly 11:30 according to my Fitbit. And we were supposed to be at my time 11:29, so we are 60 seconds behind. But I would say with everything that happened today and having it be an open house, we are good. We are really good. That's what having a timer really makes it work. That said, I know that Sean is going to be opening up the floor for those of us, our guests, to say just a few words. Really welcome. I'm so glad you came. It was a lot of fun, and there it is. So, Sean.
I do want to point out to our guests, and you may be aware, you may not, we call ourselves TV Toastmasters because, as you see, there's a camera recording our meetings. What we do at this point, we access public access, which Anderson Community provides us with. We also put our videos on YouTube, so you can see yourself, good or bad, on YouTube. You can watch our club meetings. Many people use that kind of feedback, plus our evaluation feedback, to improve what they're here for. So be aware of that. The other thing is we meet first Thursday in a studio downstairs at 6 o'clock. Why didn't I know this already? And the third Saturday, like we're here today, at 10 a.m. Our address is
7850
7850 5 Mile Road, Anderson.
in the Anderson Community Center.
That's for the audience at home. I would encourage everyone to look around. Think about what you saw and heard today. We're all from different walks of life. Not one of us is the same. We come into this meeting, whether as guests or as members, with different experience, different background, different expectations, and certainly different skills already built. But what we have in common is we're here to grow, develop, or improve in some way. Are you going to give maybe, and we've had this happen quite often, are you going to give a speech at someone's wedding? That's tough. And you want to come to our club to practice? Are you encouraged at work to become a better speaker? Your boss says you want XYZ, either position or authority, whatever it is. We need to have you be a better speaker. Are you just here to build a little bit of facilitation or leadership skills? That's what's here at Toastmasters. That's why people are here. Some people come here to network and have fun. I'm certainly one of those people because groups within a Toastmaster meeting really build bonds. So consider what Toastmasters is about. It may be completely foreign to some people. It may be something you've seen a little bit back before. This is either the fun or scary part of the meeting. Each of our guests, we'd like to encourage, if you want to give a little feedback. Maybe why you thought about checking out a Toastmaster meeting, and maybe what you thought about happening in the meeting. I may start with Marie, right? Marie, anything you'd like to say and share with us about why you came today?
Because of TV.
So we want to have them come up? Okay. Why you came today and maybe what your input is, what your thoughts are about the meeting.
I came to the meeting today because I had heard Veronica speak passionately about the TV aspect of this Toastmasters Club at a JSFG group several months ago, but at that time, a prior open house, I was unable to come. I had a conflict. So I decided today's the day. Right, exactly. And I had Toastmasters before. Actually, my father was a Toastmaster back in the day. Yes. But I've had some job changes, etc., and some conflicts where I didn't want to commit to something regularly because I haven't had a regular schedule. But I am looking forward to some self-improvement and think this is a great way to do that. Similar to the evaluation, one thing I would change in open house, like when I go to, it's been graduation season during the summer, whatever, open house I think of as one can come and go as he or she pleases, and I feel bad that I sort of interrupted the proceedings. So I would clarify in the meeting announcement or the open house that it is actually a meeting and not just a meet and greet sort of situation. So that would be my tip to improve things. Other than that, I appreciate the warm welcome despite coming in after things had started, and the hospitality and the opportunity, even as a guest, to do the table topic and get some feedback. Thank you for inviting me here, and I enjoyed my visit.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that feedback because that had never occurred to me. In an open house format, we should better clarify that when we start advertising in the future. Thank you. Michael Morris, right? Would you like to come up and give a few points? What brought you here and what you think about?
the whole podium thing.
Yeah? So let me ask that. Does it mean you don't like this physical structure, or you don't like being at the front of the building or the front of the room as a guest?
Front of the room as a guest
Okay.
kind of thing bothers me for whatever reason.
Understood. Then would you like to give feedback from your seat?
Yeah, I came from, well, Susanna invited me, and I'm interested in the whole self-improvement thing. I have a business that I run, and I'm, obviously speaking in front of people is, something that deters me from giving people my vision of my story and what I'm trying to, my objectives for my business and stuff like that. So I thought this would be an interesting way to maybe go about coming over those hurdles.
Great. Appreciate that. And something I didn't mention, Toastmasters is self-paced. There's certain programs, and we call them paths now, that people embrace and use to build certain skills. There are many people who build certain skills within a year or two very quickly. There are many people that go very slowly at their own pace. Nobody judges any individual within Toastmasters to say, you're fast and you're slow, that's not right. It's a self-paced situation, which is outstanding for me. I don't know if this is appropriate, Rick, but could I offer you as maybe a conduit for Michael to talk to after the meeting, because you do have a business that you're working with, and there are some Toastmaster skills you use. So if you're looking to think about how that works out and how you can apply that, I think Rick might be a great opportunity for you to speak with. And Mike Phelps, would you like to come up and talk a little bit about why you're here?
Thank you. First of all, like I mentioned when I was up here previously, I've had a career of public speaking to students in the classroom, to parents in classroom meetings, to various organizations. So I have felt very comfortable doing public speaking for quite some time. That doesn't mean that I have ever been very great at it, but I've always tried my best, and I've felt really, really comfortable at it. Now, exactly 24 hours ago, I was not thinking about Toastmasters in my wildest dreams. I happened to be on a marketing committee meeting for OLLI, which is a life learning institute program at the University of Cincinnati for seniors. And this dynamic, vivacious woman came, tiptoeing up to me after the meeting and said, "I heard you're from Amelia," and she had mentioned Amelia during the discussion during the day. And she started talking to me about Toastmasters and talking about the open house. And at first I was just being a little polite about, yes, that sounds okay. I have other things planned on Saturday. This is kind of the spur of the moment. But she was so polite and so nice and so welcoming and so comforting. It seemed like a nice conduit to at least check something else out. Now, as you might have noticed, I have a personal reason. All during my career in public speaking to groups, I happen to belong to other community organizations where I've done many, many speeches on lots of different topics before. But in my early 50s, I started to develop a tremor. And it was only a head tremor. And it turned out to be a central tremor, which is not a serious condition. It doesn't lead to other problems like Parkinson's or other diseases. And at that time, it was only a tremor. Since then, in the last 2 to 3 years, I've noticed the tremor affecting my speech pattern, especially when I am nervous or in a situation where I'm stressed or, lots of things are going on. So even though Carol was so nice in her invitation at first, I didn't think of that as an outlet to make me more comfortable speaking publicly and hopefully reducing the stress and hopefully reducing the tremor. And I think that would be one of my main goals if I continue participating in Toastmasters. Lastly, I'd like to say it's a very accepting, warm, understanding, first time I've experienced that I think I've ever had with a group of people so open and friendly and accepting. And I encourage you, which I never even thought of to use during my speech before I came up here. A lot of other things were running through my mind before Carol gave me the book, but I do encourage you to keep that up. And I hope more people can experience Toastmasters and the warmth that you all exude. Thank you.
Got to say, Michael, thank you very much for sharing and sharing your story with us.
Thank you.
The last thought I had, and I think, Veronica, you touched on this because many of us come from the corporate world, and there are those training programs that your boss says, your director says, your work dictates you need to go to. You travel out of town, you go to a $500 to a $3,000 training program. And each of us have done some of that, and you bring it back to your work, and you think about, what did I gain? How do I use it? And it's a bunch of notes and slides and handouts and websites, and you put it away in your drawer, you want to get to it. I can't say I've ever long-term benefited from that kind of program, no matter what the dollars were. When I started Toastmasters, what I fell in love with is the fact that I practice this every day, every week, every month. It's a continual learning and doing, and I can certainly track my progress and my growth because I'm doing it time and time again. I really don't want to put too much bad light on those other programs, but for most of this kind of training, if you're not using it, you're not growing and you're not applying it. And that's one of the things I love most about Toastmasters. So I'm kind of complete on my presidential wrap up. There is time and there's food and drink, and we can touch base after the meeting. I'm really not always good on touching every single detail, so I'll check with some of the other officers and members. Anything else I had to make sure to touch on? Suzanne, please.
I like to take a picture with everybody. I don't know
Thank
if the
you.
guests would like to be in it or not. It's up to them, but
Okay,
definitely the members
good.
for our work.
Let's make sure, before everyone leaves, check in, we can get that photo taken care of. Maybe we do it right now to get it out of the way. Make sense? All right, we're adjourned. Let's eat and hang.